I just wanted to check the homework, because I know you're all doing the homework. Make sure I didn't leave anything out.
Who are we handing our homework into?
Hector.
Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Hector and Paul are going to wrestle for it.
Yeah.
All right. So just to go back to the answer key, because I'll make sure we cover it all.
Paul. Okay, yeah.
So, name and describe the principle most important in reaching an intellectual understanding of emptiness at the path of preparation. Quality and characteristic, right?
Chichedra.
Chichedra. But there are different types of chichedras. All right? There are actually different types of mental images, right? Which we didn't talk about.
Dunchi.
Right? There's a Dunchi and a Drachi and a Rikchi.
And Rikchi.
So, the most important is the chichedra, which we talked about, right? I'm not going to talk about the other ones, but I'm just going to mention them because you can't say I only told you one. I told you there are four. And I'll leave it at that because the other three we're not going to focus on. There are different ways of imaging things with the mind, okay? One is called, I don't even want to go into it. So just I'll describe them. One is a mental image of something. If we talk about how you're imaging reality, okay? All right. The most important one is chichedra, where you take what exists and you create all these little boxes and you put everything into all these little boxes so that you can name them and relate to them and have a name for everything in reality that's in your reality, right? A term for everything that's in your reality. You know, it's this fracturing of reality, this fragmentation of reality. When you have all of reality, right? And then it's like a big mirror, which you shatter into a million little smithereens, and then you say, oh, that's piece number one, and that's piece number two, and that's piece number three, and ad nauseum, right? And that's, chichedra. This is a cup, and this is a floor, and this is a table, and God knows how many countless millions of cheese we have, of qualities we have, right? I shouldn't say this is a table. This is table, this is floor, this is man, this is woman.
So that's a Rikchi in the four cheese, right?
Cheese?
The four cheese.
Jesus?
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there.
The cheese.
No. Jesus.
Because cheese, you've got soy, which is the
You got soy cheese.
Soy cheese.
Everyone's goofy tonight.
Oh man. So, if you really want to do it,
I just want to know, because you said the one to focus on is Chedrak, but cheese just has 4 flavors. Chedrak has 1.
okay. So, Rikchi, okay, would be
The one you're talking about.
cup and a cup.
Yeah.
Okay. Table and a table. Okay. Okay. Then there's mental imaging, where you've actually seen something, and someone says, what would be an example? A horse. Horse. Someone says, oh, there's this thing called a horse. And he's like, oh, I've seen a horse. I know what a horse looks like, and you have a mental image of a horse.
Of course.
Yes. And then there's another type, which is something that you've heard someone talk about, but you've never actually experienced yourself. So someone could talk about goji berries. You've never seen a goji berry, and you've never eaten a goji berry, but they can talk about it, and you can get some kind of mental image about it. Okay? All right. And then there's another type, which is basically someone talking about a collection, like me. I'm composed of my arms and legs and my mind and body, a collection of parts. And those are different ways of thinking about things and mentally imaging things. Okay. The most important one is how we create these categories of stuff. Right? We take reality, all of reality, what we call the universe, and we break it up into all these names. So how is it that a candle, right? We come up with candle as a concept, right? And we say for something to be in the category candle, right? It's got to have a wick, it's got to have wax, it's got to burn. And then the mind, how is it that the mind comes up with candle in the first place? But then how is it that if the string is this fat and it's got wax on it, it's not a candle? But if the string is that fat and it's got wax on it, it is a candle. And if the wet string is this long, the string is that long, or the wax is this long, or the wax is that long, or this shape or that shape, the mind says that's a candle, but that's not a candle, right? So the mind is continuously, endlessly, without end, taking every perception of existence and doing this with everything. Every moment of everything. We can't, almost by definition, if you think about it, we can't interact with something unless we're doing this, right? If I don't say, that's Bruce, and identify Bruce, I can't have a conversation with him about what happened last time I saw him. Right? Now you think about it, you cook it. The mind is continuously saying, that's a door, I'm going to walk through it. Right? And it's not this overt, slow process. It's this boom, 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 instantaneous process, which is just happening constantly. Right? That's a scarf, I'm going to put it on. It's winter, it's cold. That's a coat. All this continuous categorization of all the pieces and assembling them into experience. Right? So we got to think about it. Got to cook it. Okay, I was reviewing the homework, wasn't I? Give the name of the state of mind following the direct perception of emptiness at the path of seeing. List 4 objects understood at this point. The name of the state of mind following the direct perception of emptiness is called subsequent wisdom. Okay. And we haven't gotten to it yet, but I'll just summarize it quickly. There are 4 objects you understand at this point. We started to talk about them. So these are the follow-on realizations, right? You have all of these realizations around various things. One understands that life is suffering, the Arya truth of suffering. Secondly, one understands that suffering has come about via ignorance, especially in the form of a misperception of reality, that bad thoughts create karma, perpetuating sufferings, the Arya truth of the source of suffering. Where does suffering come from? One sees directly it's possible to end the suffering, which is the truth of cessation, and one sees how to reach the end of suffering. Through the direct perception of emptiness, one can end all suffering. Give at least 2 examples of the 4 objects listed in the following question. So this is what we started to talk about. One perceives the fact that they are impermanent and has to die, and one reads other people's minds and sees the mental afflictions in them directly. So that's the truth of suffering, right? You see for the fact that you're going to die, you're going to suffer and die. You see for a fact all the afflictions and suffering in the other people's minds that you're reading. Right? Secondly, one understands that they've never had a correct perception in all their life. They understand that all their actions are selfish and self-serving, even religious practices constantly inflicted by self-interest or pride or some other limited motivation. Right? One understands that emptiness, one sees how many lifetimes they have before they're enlightened. One understands that representations of holy beings painting statues has actually come from someone who's seen them. One understands perfectly that they had an accurate perception, not a delusion. One has a physical sensation of bodhicitta or love spreading out to the world from their heart, and the intention to help the world with the rest of their life. And then one loses desire for all worldly objects such as food. Okay. So stop there, and then we'll continue with the class. I just want to make sure you got the actual official answers, in case I miss it in my conversation. So we talked about illusion before the break, right?
Mhm.
So we were talking about when you're in the direct perception of emptiness, you can't perceive yourself. You're not aware of yourself, right? Does that mean you disappear?
No.
No, you still exist, right? I mean, if I'm not thinking I'm John and I'm here, does that mean I disappear? No.
Mm. I am disappeared. The I is disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So there's something there, right?
For you to return, for the I to return to.
Well,
Sorry, I'm being.
no, it's actually very good.
Yeah.
So if one's in the direct perception of emptiness, one can't think I,
Mm.
right? One can't think I'm Hector, right? So does one exist?
Do you have the concept of a body or a mind? You don't, right?
You're withdrawn from your
Emptiness
senses and your
is
body.
the mind, or there is no mind?
Sorry?
Emptiness is the mind?
Emptiness is
You're
mind.
just the mind?
You're just the mind? Well,
The concept of mind.
so I ask you, I mean, does your body exist if you're not perceiving it? Does it go out of existence?
If you can find it when you come back. Maybe not.
Oh, but still there when you come back?
Came back. Missed it. It's like this. Anyway.
So your body disappeared for like half an hour while you're in deep meditation, right?
You let go of the concept of the body.
I mean, if I'm not thinking I'm hungry, right? I'm not aware of it. It doesn't mean that I'll never be hungry again. If I'm not thinking I'm John, doesn't mean I'm not John, right? Yes, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead.
this opens the door to all the school arguments.
Yes.
Never
Which
mind.
school are you in?
Which
now?
school are you in? And so we all go through
High school.
the school of confusion, and so we all go through this set of arguments between the schools as to what is how ethereal can the gotcha be made to be, and how defensible can anything be made to be which is not ultimately ethereal, which isn't nothing in every possible sense. So I think, just speaking as personal opinion, I think where the progress of all the arguments goes is that if you ever want to predicate something that has existence but is not cognized, then you back into self-existent nature again, like it or not, and you just managed to be mealy-mouthed about it.
So if you say so we have to be very clear about how we're splitting our hairs according to whichever school we're in, right? So if you say that you are not cognizing, right?
And yet I am.
We have to be clear about.
It is.
We have to be. Well, you see, this is the thing. We have to be clear about what's going on, right?
Well, that there's an is to something.
Like
There's
Bill
not-
Clinton is.
Yeah, there's an is to something that is not cognized by the mind. But there is an is to something. But then you're left with the problem of saying, how is it that the is? If it's not a product of your mind, my mind, the group mind, the universal mind,
Yeah.
then the is established because.
So from a Buddhist perspective, if you're sentient, you're aware and knowing, right? I mean, that's the definition of main mind, right? It's aware and knowing. And there's a question of what are the mental functions which are going on and what is the content which is active within that main mind, which is sentient, aware and knowing, right? So if we approach it from that angle, it might be useful. If we approach it from the perspective of we are sentient, we are aware and knowing, and the issue becomes what is the content of that mind, that mind's activity. And so what we said a while ago is the mind becomes very still and very calm and able to reflect ultimate reality accurately, right? And clearly, and to thereby experience it directly, right?
Is the mind have an irreducible quality of existence?
What is an irreducible quality?
It cannot be taken to emptiness.
Say it again?
Can I see the emptiness of the mind itself, the emptiness of awareness itself, or only the emptiness of contents? This is, again, puts us back into the school debate.
But no, we have to just be really clear about our language, right? So can we see the emptiness of the mind? Meaning, can we see the lack of self-existence of the mind?
Yeah.
Sure. What is the lack of self-existence of the mind? It is a mind free of
The nature
an
of the way you
identity
think.
from its own side.
Right. So it's a mind free of mind.
The name and term mind.
No, the sum and substance of mind.
The notion of mind.
No, the function of mind. In any and every capacity, it is free of all of it.
So if you say, so if you define mind, for
That
example,
way.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you define mind as something which functions, something which is aware, something which is knowing, put on all the labels and definitions you want. And then you say, well, we just put all those names and labels onto that stuff, that thing, which is doing something over there. But let's just take all those back off of it. It's still doing something over there.
It is?
That's the issue.
Well, if you say that in meditation, I can withdraw from the stuff that it's doing, and it's possible to achieve that state, then the stuff it was doing is reducible to an emptiness, relative
You gotta be
emptiness.
clear about that. Emptiness of.
Yeah.
Emptiness of those particular imputed activities.
Okay.
Okay, but the mind that is the matrix, so to speak,
You mean the base self-existent aspect of
that has relativistic meaning in
Okay.
comparison to the dynamic actions that occur within its sphere.
Okay.
Okay, so we can conceive of the actions and the sphere in which the actions occur as being functionally distinct.
So you're talking subject-object.
Yes,
Okay.
subject object. So now then we can say, well, can I reduce the subject? Now that I've reduced the object, the activity of the mind, can I reduce the subject?
What if you say there's no subject, no object?
Well, voila, we finally arrived at something that smells like an authentic emptiness. Okay, but then,
Okay.
okay.
Stay there.
But it didn't sound like you were saying that a minute ago. We just wanted to kind of pull the mind's pants down and say, well, that's the end of it. You know? Look, it has no pants, you know,
It's
but there's
good.
still something, there's still an isness
Nobody
there.
said mind only yet.
Oh, that's just one of these daffy schools that
So,
we work our way through to get to, but always a deeper conclusion.
but this is how one becomes very clear. You see, it's through debate, discussion, refinement, that we have to come to a place of clear understanding, which is saying, what are we thinking really is there? What are we thinking isn't there? Does it exist? Doesn't it exist? How does it exist? What's left if you take something away? Is anything left if you take something away?
Well, you said it, if you're thinking at all, then there is a reducible stuff that still remains to be
There's
taken.
Removed.
there is
Irreducible.
irreducible?
No, there's a reducible stuff.
As soon as you've got an identity you're talking about and labeling it, then
Right.
that can be removed.
Right. There's an affirmative phenomenon that can be, that is available to take to a negative.
I don't remember what I said or what we were talking
Well,
about,
that's
frankly. At this point.
I was just doing a play on words on is there a me while I'm in the direct perception of emptiness?
It all came from Hector's
and,
spoof, okay.
and I said,
Oh.
But
If
no,
there's-
but it's a good point, which is, if I'm in the direct perception of emptiness, is there an I? No, not from the perspective of a name and a label and a term and a concept.
Yeah.
Is someone there doing the perceiving? Yeah, but you can't call them someone in that moment. If you're sitting there in the direct perception of emptiness, and I'm over here watching you, I'm saying there's someone there having the direct perception of emptiness. Now, the Hector who's sitting there in the direct perception of emptiness is not thinking that same thought,
Yeah.
but I can still say that.
but I
He
will.
can't say that.
I will after I come out. I will then go.
Yeah.
Oh, that I did this, and I
I
was
saw.
that, and I saw
Right.
this.
But during
never.
that period of time that he's sitting there in that deep shamatha, deep shunyata, right? Deep experience of emptiness. During that time, there is no conceptualization or projection of label and term and name of anything.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't mean he disappeared, or his body or his mind disappeared, because I'm sitting here watching him.
Oh, no.
For
That's-
you.
For me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but you're not the one in the grip of direct perception of emptiness. So,
Right.
so what is the value, what is the validity of your
Oh, it's
perception? of
valid to
something?
me, but he's having a different one.
But the one that we're concerned with is the one that achieves a state of emptiness. You know?
Yeah, and so from his perception, from his perspective of being in the deep, direct experience of ultimate reality,
Right.
he's not thinking about me or I or anything else. He's having this completely calm, still, pure mind, which is directly experiencing and reflecting ultimate reality and emptiness. Right? So that's let's see. So we were talking about some of the things, we talked about the pramana. One of the benefits of this, we talk about needing to do this, right? And one of the benefits of doing this, I mean, not only does one confirm that there's an end to our own suffering and that enlightenment is possible, one becomes totally fearless. Nagarjuna says that you're totally fearless. You're fearless or totally fearless. You don't need anyone or anything in your life anymore. You've seen your total enlightenment. You've seen when it's going to happen, right? You don't have a desire for material things anymore. You're not motivated by worldly objects anymore. You're not going to have any substantial major problems in your life because you're not collecting any heavy negative karma, and you're rapidly putting an end to all your old negative karma that you're collecting. So it's this process of spending the rest of this life and the next several lives cleaning up infinite negative karma in the past that you're collecting, right? And collecting the heavy virtue necessary to see everything as pure all the time, right? So, and if you want to speed this process up, then how do you do that? I mean, it might take, if you see emptiness directly, it might take, a number of lifetimes to get fully enlightened, right? If you want to speed that process up, then you practice